Hello everyone, welcome to our Faculty for a Future launch event.
I'm so grateful for everybody attending this, and this is really a milestone here, this event today.
If you're feeling uneasy at our trajectory and academia's role in it, then you're not alone. From our work so far and from the conversations that I've had, it's clear that there are thousands in and around the academic sphere who want to do something more.
We know that we're on the trajectory for overshoot above the 1.5 degree target. Only 4% now of IPCC, some IPCC modelling looks at non-overshoot scenarios. Impacts in some areas are worse than we expected at this moment, and the adaptation gap is still very large. Those vulnerabilities are large. That's creating a more unstable world.
I'd always known about global warming and so forth, but I really didn't have a sophisticated knowledge of it. And what did prick my ears up was when some of my friends started talking to me about some papers and some articles they'd read and pointing me to them. And I have to say that once I started looking at some of the research papers and I came across the IPCC 1.5 report, I was absolutely terrified.
Scary is not a scientific term. And you can say that at a conference presentation, that it scares you, but you never say that in a paper, in a report, and never gets into the IPCC or never gets communicated to policymakers that something is scary.
I am scared. I am fearful for the future. I'm fearful, certainly for my children's future, potential future grandchildren, future generations. All the indicators seem to be going in the wrong direction, notwithstanding some of the promising rhetoric that we are bombarded with on a regular basis.
So as we enter this new world, we've got to ask what our role is within that world. The old ways, the old ideas, the ways of organizing, the ways of thinking and doing could become another stranded asset, like the physical stranded assets, the power plants that we can no longer use and so on, the infrastructure that's no longer fit for purpose. Old ways of doing, of thinking and organizing could themselves become stranded assets.
We're here to talk about, candidly, the precarious world we're entering into and academia's own part in this messy decline in the planet's health, and crucially what we can all do to rise to our future defining challenge.
We have failed as scientists to embody the urgency that's popping up on our screens that the data tells us. Because the urgency only lives in these words, in the contents of what the research we do, or we put that into reports that in the numbers or whatever, but we don't embody it. And as long as we don't do that, nothing will change.
So yes, I'm scared, but I think I'm here because we can do better. I think I can do better. Academia can do better. We can take a much more positive role, maybe it's sometimes a central role in leading the transition to a much safer, a more just world.
I felt incredible dissonance and I felt guilt because I felt I was pulling the wool over students' eyes in offering them courses in classical economics and MBAs and courses that we now know to be contributing to the crisis and actually making it worse. In fact, one person I spoke to described the current institutional offerings as developing planetary vandals, and this is not a position that we would want our young people to be in.
Each university in each region will have its own kind of list of why academia isn't really stepping up to the plate. And so one thing I'm very optimistic about in Faculty for a Future is we can begin to understand the cultural barriers, the institutional barriers that I think in many instances are actually holding us back.
And our focus at Faculty for a Future is connecting people around that work and making it easier across these three core areas of academic life: research, teaching, and engagement.
There are scope for destructive societal feedback loops of vested interests running riot, of policy responses that aren't appropriate enough, of fear overcoming us. And of course, there are extraordinary possibilities for constructive feedback loops, of rapid growth, of movements, of ideas spreading, of different modes of power overcoming entrenched power in other places.
The IPCC in the climate treaty talks about preventing dangerous climate change, but danger is not a scientific concept. Yeah, but what then? If climate scientists cannot talk about danger, because it's an emotional thing, you know, if you feel danger or not, then who else is? Who can actually capture entire crisis? So something has to be changed here, and that's why basically here.
Once senior leadership can see academics in their institutions exercising agency to deliver the kind of teaching and research that students want and that society really value, the smart institutions, the smart senior management individuals will institutionalize what these academics are doing, and the others will become obsolete.
Feeling that we don't yet know quite what to do is fine. We're here to try to facilitate and to hold those conversations. Some of you are already taking action, from teaching your students about the intersecting crises to radically reorienting your research to focus on humanity's predicament. Perhaps like many, though, you're not very sure about what options are available to you for taking action.
When I have discussions with academics around the world, we have many instances of the answers, or at least the routes towards finding these answers. But at the moment, we're disconnected, we're disparate. Probably like me, you feel quite isolated. You might have this sense of panic. And that's what Faculty for a Future can do, because it can actually connect us. And by connecting us, I think we could have quite a transformative impact.
The next question is, how can this awareness of addressing a collective future possibly come to pass within the given model of the university, one that's circumscribed by market state ideology? He says, these are good words, but I don't see any trace of a dialectical stance here, at least yet. Jordan, challenging.
Wow. I mean, that's an incredibly tough question.